This is the A. I'm Reg Clay.
And Norman G.
This is the A, where we talk about life in the theater and the theater of life.
Yay!
As always, we are sponsored by Central Works, a new play theater headed up by Gary Graves and Jan Sleifler. Central Works, reinventing theater one play at a time. As always, we want to thank Central Works for sponsoring the A. And we have a fantastic guest, someone that we both work with, Michael J. Asberry. Michael, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, and you have worked, let me see, you've done SF Playground, Profile Theater, SF Mime Troupe, ACT, Lorraine Hansberry, the Tampa Repertory Theatre, which I think is in Florida, unless there's another Tampa.
Yep.
You've
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, whose team will be in the Super Bowl next week. So,
really?
But Ben, you've been everywhere, and you've been doing everything, and you have that rich baritone voice. It's almost like Morgan Freeman. So you are well known, and we are dying to hear more about you. And we were just talking off mic. So you're doing well in the life of COVID, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, man. Just like I said, I'm sane. I'm healthy today. I'm happy today. I'm trying to get more work. I have some work coming up. So all things considered, man, I feel blessed.
Yeah,
I would love to hear where you're getting work from. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, again, one day at a time, Norman. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you'll be working with Aurora. I think they're doing a with Dominique Williams.
Right.
What is the show called? The
Bluest Eye.
The Bluest Eye.
Oh, the Bluest Eye, nice.
Yeah, we're doing an adaptation of that, man, an audio play. That comes up. We start rehearsals in about 2 weeks. And I think it will be available to listen to, I think, sometime in April, I believe. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I'll be pushing that. Norman, as I begin every podcast, how was your week?
It's a big week. So January is always a crazy month for me because I'm usually broke for the last part of the year, just sort of getting by. And in recent years, I've gotten better at making sure I schedule enough work. If I don't have an actual December gig, I make sure that I got enough money coming in so I can get to the end of January. This is the first time where I did an excellent job of that. I'm a couple of months out, and my bank account is finally starting to drop down a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm already paid through March. I've been taking care of bills. I'm like, no, I'm not getting caught this year. So, and the weirdest thing for me about January is I sit there going, I'm nervous. What am I going to do next? And then that's when everybody suddenly says, what about these dates? What about these dates? What about, so in the last week, my spring is set. I just got off of a call with Nueva, this school I teach at every spring. And we've got that schedule set up. Reg, I just got a sculpting gig that'll run the whole spring. So I haven't had a good sculpting piece done of me in a couple of years or so. Even then, the last couple of sets were kind of weak. So I'm looking forward to seeing if, there's a few pieces I've posted on Facebook where people are like, wow, you have that? That's really great. And I'm like, no, I don't have it. Somebody made it. It's someplace. I don't know where it is. But this spring I'll get to do that. And just the schedule has just packed. So I've gone from spending most of January with empty weeks to next week. It just starts to snowball, and it'll keep snowballing.
I'm always envious of you, of the hustle. Just hustle mentality of just getting the jobs and constantly hunting and all this. I mean, for a guy like me who I know my paycheck is constant, and it's been constant. Come February, it'll be 24 years that I've worked in the office.
That's right.
Yeah, but if I didn't have a day job, then I would have to be just constantly, hustling for jobs or whatever. And you've been doing this for what, 30 years or so, and you haven't lost a beat. So
I quit my last regular day job in '98.
Nice.
And I have been scrambling ever since. It was such a joy. I did a series of shows. I did Cal Shakes that summer. Mm-hmm. So when I finished, I went, you know what? Let me try and apply for this unemployment thing. Unemployment, actor. Bam. I was like, oh, it still freaked me out, but at least I was getting a check.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
So there've been a couple of current events, and I'll just run through some of them. Trey Songz. He is I guess he's a young rapper, and apparently he got arrested because he was at the AFC Championship game, which happened last Sunday, for refusing to wear a mask. I mean, not only just refusing to wear a mask, but he fought with the police and got himself locked up. I mean, I'm amazed. And of course, we hear about the alt-right folks who, they have these conspiracy theories, but there are even folks within the Black community who's like, oh, forget about that. So it's
Oh, a lot
crazy.
of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sad. It's really, really crazy. Kellyanne Conway's daughter. I don't know if you heard the story. So
Is it Tiffany? Is that her name?
I think so. And she had a nude picture of her leaked. And
No, wait a minute. Let me find this.
her mother. Oh, you want to look at the nude pictures, huh? Okay, I'm going to tell Mara.
No. Just the news. Just in the news.
That's kind of the way that came across.
Exactly. But the thing is, Kellyanne Conway, imagine your mother outing you or slut shaming you and posting your pictures out without your consent.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's what happened. Because so the Conways, as you probably know, George Conway, he is a liberal who never believed in he didn't drink the Trump Kool-Aid. Of course, Kellyanne Conway is getting paid for drinking and distributing the Trump Kool-Aid. Yeah, and I guess the daughter is, I guess, a liberal, and I guess for punishment, maybe. I mean, that's just it's astounding. Wow. Politics has gone really crazy. I mean, you hear about AOC threw Ted Cruz under the bus, basically saying, "Hey, you nearly got me killed."
Right.
I mean, it's the politics.
I don't think that's throwing somebody under the bus. Throwing you under the bus is when I'm supposed to be helping you or you're supposed to be helping me, and then I roll over you. When you threaten me, I'm not throwing you under the bus. I'm calling you out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Michael, do you have a hot take on just what's happening with politics? I mean, how volatile things have been.
I guess what it reinforces to me is how uninformed we are as a nation, and it's stunning how many people have these extreme views. For me, it's actually stunning for me. But I have a dear friend that I went to college with, who predicted all of this years ago, and he's not the only one. And it's sad. It's just sad. And that's the only take that I have on it, is that it's sad, it's disturbing, and I'm trying to remain faithful and optimistic that people can distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. And that's what I try to place my faith in, because the rest of it, logic and reason, seems to be out the window.
Yeah, no, I think it's well said. And there was a guy, I think George Soros, I think he wrote a book back in the 90s about retro versus metro America and how the nation was sort of dividing itself. And he wrote it during the Clinton administration, where you had like Newt Gingrich and Contract for America, and you had the Swift Boat veterans, when Kerry was running for president. And so you had these little splinters of the, right movement. But it's sort of, it's just like a boiling pot, like it was a simmer a couple of years ago. Now it's, it's reaching a sort of crescendo. And you just wonder, when is it going to end? Here's a funny story. So Mike Pence, did you hear about the Mike Pence story? Apparently he's homeless. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a house.
Oh.
He was I was watching the Colbert Report, and I was like, no, this has to be fake. But no, it's real. So he, of course, he had so much faith, and you know how he's a fundamental Christian. So he put his faith in God and Trump that they were going to win re-election, that he didn't even bother looking for a home. And so when Biden won, he's been couch surfing. He's been, I think he stayed at the home of the Minnesota, no, not Minnesota, the Ohio, is it Ohio? No, Indiana, the Indiana governor's house, because he was a former a governor of Indiana, and they're looking to buy a home. And I'm just amazed. I mean,
I hope you were going to say they're just having trouble having anybody sell to them.
Well, yeah, I think that may be a trouble because, okay, so it's happened.
But Indiana loves him. I mean, a lot of people in Indiana love him. I don't love him.
Yeah. And the last thing, so Biden has every time Biden gives a speech, there's usually a translator, ASL translator, doing sign language. Mm-hmm. And the sign language interpreter that they had, Heather Menshaw, is a Trump supporter. and she has an alt-right Trump webpage. And needless to say, when the Biden administration found that, they quickly got rid of her and got another ASL translator. And I mean, the conspiracy theorists and the folks who are just on the far right, I mean, infiltrating the Biden administration and, you know, spreading lies to even folks who are deaf. That's scary. That is really, really scary. So those are the things that I have for current events.
There's also is the recall happening? Do we really have to?
Oh, the governor. I haven't heard much news from that. I know they have to get a petition. I know they need to get. I'm not
The
sure
last
how many.
I heard was they were close to getting their number, and I hadn't heard anything since.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, Gavin Newsom. I don't see him doing anything wrong. I mean,
Right.
I was reading. There's a news report. I guess there are folks who are attacking the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, because there are some folks who are dying in the old folks' homes. And I don't see Andrew Cuomo as being the enemy. I don't see Gavin Newsom as being the enemy. But
Right.
of course, there are right-wing folks who are trying to instigate people and trying to spread news and trying to influence people and also the media into getting rid of these folks. And it's crazy. No, I haven't heard anything about it, and I hope that I don't, because there's nothing wrong with Gavin Newsom. I think there may be some flaws, but he's trying to do the right thing.
Hey, but on the other hand, we just got Arnold. So, I mean, we got Arnold last time we had a recall.
Well, yeah.
That wasn't so bad.
Yeah, he gave a speech, what was it, a week or so ago, basically condemning the insurrection, and he compared it to Conan. He actually had the Conan sword.
The sword.
Yeah. It's crazy. We're getting cogent, concise advice from the guy who did Terminator. So it's a crazy world. With that said, let's get into an origin story. Michael Asberry, how did you get involved in theater, and where were you born and raised?
Born and raised in Pittsburgh, California, out in Contra Costa County. So I'm not too far from home right now. How I got started in theater, my voice has sounded like this since I was young. My voice changed when I was really young. And so people kept saying, you got a voice, you got to do something with that. And I said, okay, well, let me try. I want to be on the radio. I want to be a DJ.
Oh.
Tried that for a minute. And then the station that I worked for disappeared, went out of business. And then I said, well, I don't know what to do next. I was just raising my family. And then I met a guy at my gym who was doing commercials and stuff. And so I kind of jumped in his conversation, and he was gracious enough to give me a lot of information and some contact names to reach out to. Reached out, contacted a talent agent who started sending me out for on-camera audition. I had never acted in my life. And so that was...
How old were you?
I was like 35, something like that, 35, 36.
Now, would this be in the 80s? I'm trying to get a timeline.
No, that was in like the mid 90s.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Early
okay.
Yeah, early to mid 90s. And so I started to book some work. Didn't really know had no idea what I was doing, but I went anyway because I felt obligated because my agent was sending me on auditions. And then as I started to get a little bit of work, I kind of liked it. So I said, I kind of want to be better at this. And everybody who I knew that was good had a theater background. And that's when I started auditioning for the stage. So that's kind of how I got started doing that.
And that takes us back. I mean, we must have met right around then.
You were you and I worked together on the second play that I ever did at African American School for Scandal. That was my second play ever.
Oh, where was that? What theater was that?
Oh,
African American Shakespeare.
Wow. It was in Oakland.
Yep, at Mills College Theater, doing School for Scandal.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so he jumped into the classics right away.
Well, 12th Night was my first.
Oh.
That was my first play.
12th Night with who?
That was with a little group that's no longer together called East Bay Actors Collective.
Oh,
and
okay.
A gang of us got together, man, and we did 12th Night, and we did it 2 days on campus outside at UC Berkeley, and then we did the weekends at Mosswood Park. And so that was interesting. That was very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm off mic. We were talking about how, because I asked about your day job, and you were like, no, this is my thing. You do. I imagine you are a professional actor. I mean, this is
Right,
how you get paid,
right.
and that's, for someone who doesn't have any formal training, that is really, really good. I mean, people want to know, wow, how do I get to be an actor without, having to go to school or, without even needing a day job? Um, so you got your agent and did you, I know that you didn't go to school for acting, but did you eventually have some sort of training at all?
I took workshops here and there. Now, just to be clear, I was working full time when I started, and I worked full time up until 2009. And that's when I left my regular day job to act full
Nice.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've taken workshops here and there, but I have not had any formal training. I didn't go to school. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't train under any of the Stella Adlers. I didn't do any of that. I just
Mm-hmm.
dove in
Yeah.
head first,
Yeah. And
and
it sounds like you didn't
worked
need
it.
it. Yeah. It sounds like,
I'm working.
you've been doing just fine.
Well, so far so good. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to climb. I'm still hungry, so we'll see.
Right.
Do you have any siblings, brothers, sisters?
I do. I have stepbrothers. I have no sisters, but I have all brothers. I have a stepsister, two stepbrothers, three blood brothers. One of my brothers passed away. Had a heart attack at 48, and he's actually
Huh.
my acting inspiration. He was the artist of the family. He could draw. He wrote poetry. He could sing. He told jokes and stories, and just he was the gifted one. And
Mm-hmm.
everything I do, I attribute to him, and
What's his name?
he's the inspiration.
What's his
Give
name?
us.
Ricky Asberry.
Right
Yeah.
on. Nice.
Mhm.
Just as you were talking, I was thinking about how I grew up, and I think all of us are, well, Norman, you're 10 years older than me. Michael, I think that you and I I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52.
I was
And
51 years ago. So yeah.
but growing up on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and it was Chocolate City,
Yeah.
we were infused by, just being.
Southeast.
No, I stayed away from Southeast. That was dangerous. Northwest.
Okay.
For folks who don't know, Southeast DC actually is cleaned up now, but back in the 70s,
Yeah.
it was as if the Tenderloin were maybe 3 times as big
Yeah,
and just as dangerous.
I got friends from Southeast, so I know a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, I grew up in the Petworth section. That's Northwest DC. But
Okay.
there was an inspiration of being proud to be Black. All of the teachers were Black, and we learned about just our history, and there was roots, and there was a strong Black presence, and so we had that growing up. I've never knew what it was growing up being Black on the West Coast in Berkeley. I mean, I imagine there was a lot of the Black Panther movement, that sort of stuff going on. But how was it growing up on the West Coast?
Uh, well, there was racial tension for sure, but there was also those racial awareness. I remember being from Pittsburgh, which was a really small town then. It's much bigger now than it was when I was growing up there. But what I would do is in the summertime as a kid, I worked my NYC neighborhood youth corps job, and I would take Bart to Oakland to buy my school clothes. And so I remember I would come over to Oakland, and as soon as I would get off the train, the Panthers were right there on the corner. They were like selling newspapers, and I'd see the Nation of Islam on the other corner. It was a visible, distinct presence that was there. So the awareness was there. But there was racial tension everywhere you went. I remember I grew up in Pittsburgh. Antioch was the neighboring city, and it was literally like night and day. There was tons of racial tension. Matter of fact, my sophomore year, we played against Antioch High School, our rivals, and there was a brawl, a melee that happened during our game, where from that moment on, all of our basketball games had to be played during the day. They wouldn't let us play any more night games.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was Black on Black violence, or just
Antioch was a predominantly white school.
I got it. Yeah.
Time. And so it was definitely racially charged.
Do you think it's any more mixed now?
It's definitely more mixed now.
Okay.
Definitely.
The reason I ask is there's a program I do, and we're going to be I'm going to be teaching a spring workshop, and they're wanting us to diversify our the folks that we're drawing in. And somebody mentioned Antioch, and I was like, oh, wow, Okay, I don't know. I mean, we get Pittsburgh High, but
Hmm.
we don't get Antioch.
Antioch is much more diverse now than it ever was.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What, I'm curious, what techniques, because a lot of the techniques that I've learned, just as far as how to approach a script, how to,
Hmm.
deal with blocking and all that sort of stuff, I learned from school. I did learn a little
Hmm.
bit from just actually being cast. But how did you, I mean, did you learn just on stage, how to approach examining a script and, let's say, beats, and how you memorize lines and things like that? Did you learn pretty much on stage?
I learned everything on stage. The benefit to that, I think, well, I guess as I see it, the benefits that I had is one, that I was in my 30s when I started. So once I started to kind of hit my stride, I was already 40 years old. So I had lived a life. So I knew there was no circumstance that I saw in a script that I didn't recognize. Okay, I know what that sounds like, feels like, looks like. So that kind of familiarity helped. And I had the gift of working with wonderful people. Like Norman had been doing it for a while when I met him. So I would learn
Yeah.
from Norman. I would learn from, work with L. Peter Callender, who had been doing this forever. I worked with him, and everything he did, I soaked it up like a sponge. Aldo Billingsley, everything he did, I soaked it up. Stephen Anthony Jones, I had a chance to understudy under him, and also under Carl Lumbly.
Lumley?
Yeah, Carl Lumbly. So whenever I had a chance to work with somebody, I'm watching everything they do because I knew I didn't have any formal training.
Mhm.
So I'm taking theirs. So their formal training became my formal training, and that's where I got it from. And that's where I learned about beats and rhythms and character development, and trying to figure out, how does this person walk, or how do they think, or how do they, what motivates them to do this? Why would they say this that way? That kind of thing. So I picked it all up on the fly.
It's interesting getting to you, Norman. My experience, and I'm not sure why I even thought about Foreman in Paris, but because sometimes you think, oh my goodness, I'm working with young actors who they don't have a lot of experience on stage. Oh my goodness, this is going to be really frustrating. But the very fact that, if an actor can work with another actor who's a veteran, like I think about the relationship between Kim Donovan and Barry.
Oh,
Barry learned a
yeah.
lot from Kim Donovan, and maybe there's a benefit with learning theater on stage. It's almost like on the job training, where you can work with a veteran actor and also, get the, I guess, get a sort of training that you can never have in the classroom. And I think Michael is absolutely right. I think you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. I think if you have a life experience that you can bring on stage, it's way better than just coming out of the classroom.
I mean, this is a subject that usually gets juicy when we get here, because you are much more interested in what people actually studied and where they studied and how they studied,
Yeah.
and I honestly do not give a fuck. I
Well,
don't. You
I,
tell
I,
me
I,
that you studied at ACT, I'm gonna sit back and look at you, because now you just raised the bar. So I need you to clear that bar easily. If all you're doing is what they taught you and you ain't got no brain, nothing, you're not bringing anything to it, I don't know that I can use you. Whereas I love that person who has no training and they jump both feet in. You can jump in and be completely wrong. That's cool. I love your energy. So what we need to do is adjust what you just did. And if they can take that adjustment, man, what they bring, the person, do you know Vernon, Michael, you must. Vernon Medeiros?
Oh yeah, Vernon's fantastic. Yeah.
Vernon's got a solo piece we just worked on. That'll be with Afro Solo. Hopefully, it's coming out next month. Um, it'll be a series of 4 solo pieces. It's called Black Men Embracing the Light. And as
Right.
soon as I get a date, I'll get a link and all that. But I'm working with Vernon. Vernon doesn't have really much training,
It's funny
but
you brought his name up, Norman, because I was just thinking about him, because the last time I believe that The Bluest Eye was done in the Bay Area was with Lorraine Hansberry, and Vernon was in that production. So I was
oh,
just thinking
okay.
about him recently as I was preparing for this role.
No, Vernon is wonderful. He's amazing. He's quick.
Yeah.
And yet, that whole vocabulary of formal theater, you got to be careful when you say, well, so what about the beat? I want to do something with the beats. Because Vernon will look at you and go, yeah. And I'm like, and I see it in his eyes. I'm like, I just spoke another language, didn't I? I'm sorry. let me find out what you need to hear.
but I
And he
have
was amazing at the
Yeah.
adjustments he made. Quick,
Oh
quick.
yeah. He's fantastic.
And
Oh
then
my
the energy he
God.
brings to it, nobody else
Oh
can
my God.
nobody else can touch that. They cannot teach that in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, I'm curious as to how people apply what they, or if they apply anything they learn in school here, because we're really talking about how you can bring a natural performance. It's just something natural. And, if you
Right.
have a life experience, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I had dropped theater cold turkey, from coming out of school. And I didn't appear back on stage until I think 2000. When did I do 100 Years of Political Theater? That was 2005. So I had, a whole life experience that I could bring to the stage that I could never have done in the 90s. So
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
only reason. And I love these back and forth conversations, these back and forth debates about, formal training versus, and because there are pluses and minuses for both.
Yeah, and there's right. There's not one way. There's all kinds of way to make your way onto the stage to become an
Mhm.
Yeah.
actor.
Yeah. Because I think there was one, we had one guest on and she was asking me, I don't think you were on, and she was saying, when should I, who was it? It was someone, I think it was Carrie Ann Roscoe. She was
Oh,
asking, when do you seek formal training? When do you not seek formal training? And my answer to her, and I don't know if the two of you agree, there will be a role that you will have. Someone's going to put a script in your hand and say, can you handle it? And you may not know what to do or how to handle it. And maybe someone who has psychological issues, the character does, or someone who, I don't know, you have to do some research or something like that. But it's going to pull something out of you that you don't know if you have inside of you, although you've been cast.
Mhm.
And that's, I think, when, if anything, formal training may kick in. I mean, that would be my answer to anyone, or if you have any bad habits that you need to break out. So,
I don't really have a point of reference for that. So because if I had formal training, then I could say, well, you should do this instead of that, or I would recommend this over that. So I don't really have that point of reference.
yeah.
But I do know that having some life experience for me has proved invaluable because for the better or worse, I have been around people that have had serious mental issues or substance abuse issues or emotional issues or mental issues. And so having seen that, experienced that, and felt that really close, I think that helps to dig into whatever circumstance is thrown at me when I get out there. I remember doing a show, oh gosh, There Will Be No Trojan War.
oh, right.
And
Shotgun.
Shotgun, it was Shotgun. And Clive
Yeah.
Worsley, man, Clive Worsley, if you guys know Clive,
Oh, oh yeah.
oh man, I remember at the first rehearsal, that was the first time that I felt like I really got to step my game up because there was something that he just did or said that was so compelling in that moment. I'm like, oh, this is real. I believed everything he said. And I remember that being a moment where it's like, okay, I got to pay closer attention. And I believe Clive has had formal training. I don't know his extensive background, but I believe he had. And so I made it, I sponged off of everything that he did as well. And, again, mentors that I've had, man, the people that I've had a chance to follow. I worked with Ella Sebastian Chang and Margot Hall. They co-directed Fabulation when I did that with Lorraine Hansberry.
Damn.
And working with those two, I mean, it was just, I still feel empowered by that experience. So,
Yeah. Was that the most complicated, complex character that you had to do when you did the thing at Shotgun?
no, I'd say the most complex character that I ever had to do is when I had to do, it was a Eugene O'Neill piece that I did out in Danville, man. It was, oh God, I can't think of the name of it right now. But
Not Great God Brown. Harry Ape.
no, not the Harry Ape. It's oh God, it was Paul Robeson's first role on Broadway.
Not Master
And
Harold. I mean, not
uh,
Master Harold. I'm sorry. Jones. Emperor Jones.
nope, not Emperor Jones. Aldo actually recommended me for that role. God bless him.
Uh,
It's not coming to me right now. But anyway, the character.
now you got me going crazy.
Yeah, I'll have to dig it up. So it's set like in 1919, and the character is, of course, a young Black child who has a crush on a young white girl. And they have this beautiful, young, innocent romance until she becomes race conscious. And then she distances herself from him. It breaks his heart. And he has to live with that. So he moves on. He ends up going off to law school and trying to develop his own life. He ends up coming home for one summer and she's back. She's gone off. She's married this guy who has abused her. And the character that I play still is in love with her and decides that they're going to get together and they're going to move out of the country where the racial tension is less dangerous. They move to France and she ends up having a nervous breakdown and kind of flips out on him. And he has like disowned his family and the whole thing. That was the most complex character that I think I've ever had to play. And it was difficult and emotionally challenging and all of those things. But I had a point of reference, again, just through life experience that helped me through that.
Yeah, I'm looking at that because that's let's see, Beyond the Horizon, Emperor Jones, Strange Interlude, Desire Under the Elms, Anna Christie, Morning Becomes Electra, Our Wilderness, The Iceman Cometh, Moon from Misbegotten.
Yeah, it is not coming to me. I cannot think of the name of the
Lazarus Laughed. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. But no, that is fantastic. Wow, that is, because it reminds me, I mean, it's very similar to the Eighth of Fugard piece. Well, it deals with sort of Master Harold, because Master Harold has a young white boy who has a connection, a very intimate, strong connection with, a Black character.
Right.
Then becomes conscious of his, I don't know, his what do you call it? The white privilege, and abuses it.
Yep.
But I got to check that out. But yeah, no, that sounds like that was a powerful piece, and that was done. What stage was that done?
That was in Danville, man, with the and I can't think of the name of that either. I'm actually pulling up my own doggone resume. So.
Oh gosh, it's the one downtown, right by the train station.
Right.
Is that the theater?
That's right.
Yeah, they just closed.
Did they?
I think so. If I'm thinking of the right theater.
All God's Children Got Wings.
Was that the piece? That's the piece. Okay. Yeah. Finally, we finally got it. Yeah. Let me ask you this, Michael. Are you getting out of? And this is something that we ask everyone. Are you getting the most out of Bay Area theater? Are you a frustrated actor? Are you a satisfied actor?
Are you a hungry actor?
I'm not dissatisfied, but I'm hungry. I want more. I feel like there's more for me, and I'm not particularly disillusioned with it. And I think that's probably because it still kind of feels new to me. I still feel like I'm learning and growing in it. So I'm not disillusioned in it. I'm disillusioned in a lot of the shenanigans that are going on around the theater.
Right.
So that part is disappointing. And
can you say more about that?
Well, I mean, I read the living document. And so I'm hearing about how people are being treated.
The Eli Urquiza piece. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading about how people are being treated or mistreated or not being treated at all. And I mean, it's just, that's got to change. And people are stepping forward and being assertive and taking steps to change it. And I think that's welcome.
You don't have to name any names, but did you find yourself going, oh, I know that person, or even worse, I know that production?
No, I didn't. There were some names certainly that I recognized in there, and I was like, wow, that was kind of heavy. But I didn't see anything. I didn't see any of the more egregious offenses that people have listed. I didn't see any of that personally. I've heard about a whole lot of stuff, but fortunately, I didn't have to experience it directly.
Oh, yay you.
Yeah, people's truths are their truths. And, I God bless them for, addressing that and doing what you have to do to change it and correct it.
No, it's good that
and
you
it's
haven't.
being discussed. Yeah, now it's being discussed everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say is there's something that Norm and I have discussed before. I know for myself, there was a time where I was doing a lot of theater in the Bay Area, and I said to myself, okay, I'm on stage a lot, but these stories that I want to tell. Am I taking on roles that represent what I like? And after a while, it was like, no, I'm really representing other people's stories, or I don't know if I want to be acknowledged for this. I mean, I'm thankful for having the job of being cast, but I really had to make a draw the line to say, hey, okay, let me do this type of theater and let me take more of a proactive role in my career. did you have to cross that line ever, or it sounds like you may have crossed the line almost immediately? Like it sounds like the roles that you've done have all been roles that you've been very proud of.
They have been. I'm proud of everything that I've done up to this point. There is certainly a lack of variety in roles, I think, particularly for Black males. But I remember going to a seminar at UC Berkeley. This was like in the 80s, before I had even thought about acting, because I just liked Keenan Ivory Wayans was there.
In Living Color, right on.
What's this? Julie Dash was there, and a couple over there. I want to say Reginald Hudlin was there as well. They were like these people who went on to do like incredible, amazing work. They were all there doing this seminar, and I remember sitting in the room with them. And somebody had brought this up about, the roles that people are offering, the roles that people get, and what can we do about improving that. And Keenan Ivory Wayans put his hands on the table and said, make your own. He said, I don't care if you got like a Polaroid camera, whatever kind of camera equipment you have, if they're not telling the stories you want to hear, make your own stories. If you do that, then it'll happen for you.
Yeah.
And so
we've seen it. We've seen it borne out time and time again.
Time and time again. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm in the process of moving in that direction.
Oh.
But, I totally understand people's frustrations with it. And I know that they're out there. That's the thing. I know that they're out there, and I've seen a wonderful range of roles and characters that people can play, people of color, from every walk of life. So I know that it's out there. It's just a matter of doing it and getting it done.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead, Rich.
No, I just want to tap into, it sounds like you're getting more. Do you want to produce? Do you want to do either film, or do you want to write for the stage?
I want to write is what I want to do. Producing, that may come later. I definitely want to write. I've been writing all my life. And it's just now that I'm starting to kind of put some of my writings together and say, I can actually do something with this. This is a story that I think I'd like to see and have told, and that people might actually want to gravitate towards. So I'm starting to put that together now. I have zero interest in directing, but
that was going to be one of my questions for you.
Yeah, writing, yes. Producing, if opportunity comes along, but directing, absolutely not. Nope.
How did you get so sure about that?
Well, I remember when I first got out of school, I tried to coach. I wanted to coach basketball. I was an athlete growing up, and so I wanted to coach. And I coached for about 3 years, I think it was, right out of high school. I went back to my old high school, and I coached JV basketball. It was the most frustrating experience I had ever had. Just not necessarily dealing with the players, because players, I can deal with that on that level, but dealing with parents, it was all the outside stuff that came along with that. And I was like, do I have the temperament for this? And I could have done it. And I think that I could have done it well, but it would have sucked my soul and my spirit out, because I would have been frustrated all the time. And I said, that's not for me. Not for me.
It's definitely one of the things I've learned in teaching is, so if you want to find out where all the bad singers are, become a singing teacher. If you want to find out where the bad actors are, become an acting teacher. And what you learn in order to become a better teacher is that you've got to meet people at whatever level they're at and
where they are.
Help them move forward. If that fulfills you, then become a teacher. If that just frustrates you, like, dumbass, really, how many times I got to tell you, take a breath before you say that line?
It takes awareness. It definitely takes awareness from within. I think anyone who is, like any character or whatever, I think with acting, you need to have a sense of humility to know, listen, I need to be sort of a blank slate, slate of paper, and to approach this from, I think a lot of people have our hang-ups as to what they think acting is and what they think, being a star is. And I think the more humble you are and you approach the material, on an honest level, and be honest with yourself, be honest with what you can do and can't do, then I think you'll go a lot further. Also, when you're talking about coaching, Richard Harder, he broke out. Remember when we had Richard Harder on?
Richard's one of the first people I met when I first started. Yeah.
Ah, there you go. See, small world. But he was a football coach for a long time, and then he was like, okay, the hell with it. The parents are driving me crazy, so I can't do it.
I was going to say in terms of new work and people making their own shows, that sort of thing. So I've just been asked by Play Cafe to do a workshop. We haven't set a date yet, but sometime this spring, I'm supposed to do a workshop talking to writers. And
Okay.
I'm like, well, it's such a huge subject. How do you frame it? So I got some ideas about how I would frame it and, to create an environment for a Q&A session, which is what they're really encouraging. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to talk for 90 minutes, but I could talk for 20 minutes and see if I can't stimulate some
Really some
conversation.
conversation. Yeah.
But I thought, what is it that's going to draw them in? And so I've decided that my title needs to be something like joining the new Western, joining the new Western, um, see, and I don't have a word for it yet, but basically the new genre, the new category, this is who we are.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm always looking for as a Bay Area theater artist, is to remember that it's not that we're doing, Eugene O'Neill or Shakespeare or whatever in some sort of generic way. Nobody needs to see that. The play was done a long time ago. We don't need to see that. What we need to say is, how do we embody this play? How does that communicate to our audience? Now, I think for the writer, because I never want to tell a writer what to write. I know everybody who identifies as a writer has had people come to you and say, hey, you know what you should write? You know what would be a good idea for a story? People do that. I hear it all the time. And I'm like, no, actually, writers usually have a lot of ideas about what they want to say.
That's right.
I want to put it in a framework. I want to ask you as a creator to see yourself as you are here, you are now. And let's label this something. I say we label this as a new movement. And this is now. And I'm just calling it New West, or New Western, actually, because I want to push them. I'm in love with, we just watched Good Lord Bird. We saw some other historical piece with black people. And you can take the whole story of what we know as the West. You can take the whole story and tell it from the point of view of people of color, and we're in every bit of it. Lewis and Clark, we're there. We are, what's his name? Lone Ranger. These are all black, but you can take Native Americans, you can take all the other people who came and got involved. You can tell the same sorts of Western stories that we are used to.
Right.
In that motif. And that's what I'm going to put out to these writers. Is I'm like, I'm going to tell you to do this, and then I'm going to tell you when you do it and somebody picks it up, that you say that you are part of this new movement. And let's see if we can't, in the next 2 or 3 years, get people going, that's part of the new Western movement. Oh, damn, I want to see what that is. It doesn't matter what you have to say. If you could just put it in that framework, I'm going to try and help you sell it.
I remember when I did Day of Absence with Lorraine Hansberry, and Douglas Turner Ward came our opening weekend.
Oh, really?
And, oh, yeah. He came our opening weekend. And I remember he was talking about when people are creating their seasons. He says you can take any one of the 10 plays from his Negro Ensemble Theater, put it up on stage, and it would hold up. He said, because they're universal stories. He said there are black people in them, yes. He said, but the stories are universal. Everybody can connect to it.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems that people want me to think about minority theater, or theater that deals with a particular genre or a particular group of people. Well, this is a Asian story, let's say Crazy Rich Asians, that will appeal to the Asian community. Or I don't know, some play by we just did a bunch of them.
Golden Thread, the Middle Eastern theater company.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or the Arabian Shakespeare. Well, they're not the Arabian Shakespeare company anymore, but I honestly think we have to break out of that mentality. I mean, I can go to, let's say, a Latino theater and see something that will still appeal to me or connect to me. Or someone can see a black play, or let's say a play that has a black person in it, and still it can be universal. And I think you're absolutely right. I think we need to have plays which will have minority characters in it and will tell, let's say, an aspect of their story, but it's still universal so that it can appeal to everyone.
Well, and I know that all these writers I'm going to talk to are going to be mostly white. I know they are.
Yeah.
I will talk to them about diversity and inclusivity. I will, but
we'll see how much it's
instead just say, are you going to tell this story that includes me.
Yeah. And
Right.
speaking of that, so Michael, I mean, as far as I know that you haven't now. You've been working with Playground. As a matter of fact, you and I know each other because you were in my play, Woodhull and the Jailer.
Mhm.
But it's have you
We've
submitted
done
any?
at least one or two.
Yeah,
At least.
have you submitted any pieces to Playground?
I have not yet. It is on my to-do list, but I have not submitted yet. Yes.
So what would be? I mean, because as a writer, I mean, I've written a bunch of one acts and I've written Foreman in Paris. And I've thought about, okay, what type of a writer is Reg Clay? What type of a story, when people see a Reg Clay play, what are they going to see? And I've had to think about that. What is my, I don't know, genre or whatever.
Mhm.
And I've had that in my mind. What about you? If someone were to see a Michael Asberry production, either written by you or, it just, you are in it.
Mhm.
What do you want to convey? What type of theater do you want to convey to the public?
Oh God, see, I don't know that yet. I don't know because there's so many stories that I kind of want to tell, and they're so spread out. I think across the spectrum. I was an athlete, so that's a perspective that I certainly explore in my writing. I was a reader as a child, which was different than from some of the other kids in my neighborhood. So the fact that I love to read a lot was different from other kids that I grew up with. So there's kind of that nerd aspect that I experienced growing up that's different from a lot of other kids that were in my neighborhood. I Single parent household. That's not the most different thing that anybody ever has gone through, but that's a perspective that I would also explore. Father son relationship. I had a strong relationship with my father, even though my parents were not together, which is different than a lot of people. I've heard people talk about such adversarial relationships they had with their fathers, and it breaks my heart because I never had that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a different perspective that I'll probably explore at some point. So I don't know that there's I could say there's a Michael Asberry play. This is what you can look forward to. I don't think I'm certainly not there yet because I haven't put it together in a cohesive form. But I'm sure that it'll be all over the place. I mean, I love comic books and I
Yay.
collected
Along with Norman.
I collected sports cars. I mean, I got my Black Panther T-shirt on right now. I mean,
Right
I was
on.
a Marvel kid. I loved DC. When Superman came out, my brother and I were like losing our minds. There's a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Now, is that the old Superman or Christopher Reeve or the new one?
Oh, the old school Superman, man.
Christopher Reeve, yeah, you can believe a man can fly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
No, that new guy, I try to give him credit, and he does I see critically, he gets a lot of credit, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. This looks like constipated Superman to me. He got this expression on
There's
his
no
face all
George
the time.
Reeves,
I'm like,
man.
dude,
Yeah.
George
it
Reeves
ain't
with
that
the
deep.
suits
Yeah.
on and the hat and
You
the
can
Yeah.
glasses.
fly,
Come on,
shit.
man.
And I don't think as an actor, I don't think he liked it either because remember he had another role set up and he was like, look, I'm tired of doing Superman, and they
Oh no,
wanted him to.
you're thinking about Christopher Reeve.
No. This is the newer actor.
Oh,
This
the
is
new
the
guy. Gotcha.
yeah,
Gotcha.
because he signed up to do a movie and he had a mustache on.
Oh yes, that's
Right.
right. I saw that.
And they were like, no. We got to have you shave that off because we want you to be Superman for another movie. He's like, the hell with that. I'm not doing it. So go ahead. It's interesting how actors, that people want to put you in the role or, whatever box you're in. It's like, hey, this is your box. This is your thing.
That's
And
a
it's like,
nice situation to be in. No Superman, and then you can say like, I'm not doing Superman. I'm going to do something else.
Right.
that's right.
Not a bad
No,
spot.
no, and I've never asked you this. I don't think I've ever asked you this, but as a director, what what am I trying to say? What do you convey? What do you want to convey to an audience when they see a Norman G directed show, whether it be like one of the playground pieces or let's say a full length piece?
Well, so when I took on the identity of director, the number one thing I hated when I was watching plays coming up as an actor was when a director seemed to want to make the play their thing, not serve the play. And they might, I love to have a take on what the play is, and I want to serve that to the audience. That's what I want to do. But to feel like you are almost intentionally mangling the play, you are taking the play in a different direction than the play was ever intended to be. And that, I found that to be frustrating. So what I found was what I want to do, and I was just thinking about this yesterday, I want to connect the dots. So I want to be, and it's funny, I love like all those newspaper puzzles. I love those things. Some of them are so simple, but they can be so enjoyable. I want my audience to have that experience, like the connect the dots. I would like to make the connect the dots, and then I want to see if my audience will make all those links as we get through. We were watching, oh, good Lord Bird, the penultimate episode. I won't give anything away, but this character goes to leave, and Mara's like, wait a minute, they didn't cover this one point. And I said, well, it doesn't really matter. They don't need to. And then that became a turning point. That was the cliffhanger. I was like, wow, you were paying attention to that. That's what I like, is I want to serve up something that an audience can feel like they're engaged in. I'm teaching this directing workshop now, and I'm actually using, here it is,
Understanding Comics.
Comics. Do you know this one, Mike?
I don't.
Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. He wrote Zot way back in the day. Oh my God. This is this brilliant, and it's a comic book. It's a graphic novel that breaks down everything about how comic books are made. I'm using a chapter to teach my students, because there's what you see, what you fill in, what you don't see. If I suddenly pick up something to have a drink, you assume that there's a table here, because I didn't go all over to do it. On the other hand, if I go to get it, there are all these things that you do within a frame, and that's one of the wonderful things about having to work on Zoom. I purposely shaped my class in this direction to say, you've got to remember that this is not a limitation. You are still creating a whole world for your audience. Now, the way you relate to that world, if I put my mom there, oh, Mom, there doesn't need to be somebody there. There just needs to be me relating to it. And my audience will put that together. So that's my thing. I'm not trying to make a signature thing in the sense of, if you saw 4 Men in Paris and then you saw my Wind in the Willows, I don't need you to go, oh God, that's the same director. I would like you to go, oh, Norman G is doing something. I want to go see it, because I sat there the whole time, not the whole time, hopefully, but I sat there going, how is that going to work? And then when it came together, I love it when people come up to me after a show and say, that one moment when this happened, I thought, oh, hell. And then, and I just sit there smiling, because they're telling me like I didn't know this is happening. Like I didn't realize that was going to happen. I'm like, well, I kind of set up that cliff, and then I set up that rope, knowing that you would jump on it and take that ride with me. That's what I want.
Yeah. And that's the sign of a great director, to know what the dots are and putting them together, and also interacting with actors and talking with different actors from different walks of life and all that stuff. One question I had for you, Michael, what are some of the interactions you've had with the directors? Have you had some good directors? Have you had some bad directors?
I was going to say, I'm glad you're bringing this up. I'm like, Michael, you could totally put me on the spot on this, because when I know I'm going to work with Michael, I'm like, I have known Michael forever. I've seen Michael's work. Damn, okay, that gives me an idea where I think I can go. And then I'll say, Mike, what about this? And he's like, well, maybe, but what I was kind of thinking was, I was thinking I would do it this way. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, that's what's going to happen, yes.
Oh, nice. So you're sort of a collaborator with the director. I mean, that takes a lot of...
that's my side of it. I don't know his side.
Yeah, tell me about your interactions with the directors you work with.
Well, that's the style that I prefer. I prefer a collaborative effort as opposed to a dictatorship. It's like, here's how this has to go, blah, 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 which kind of speaks to what Norma was just talking about, how some directors will try to put their stamp on a production so that they can say, yes, I directed that. This is my direction. This is my production. And I guess there's a place for that. And I've worked with directors who operate that way and have had some success doing it. Yeah. But if given a choice, I wanted to, and there's always a choice. I mean, you can just like, I'm not doing this.
Right. Whether you say it or not. Yeah.
Whether you say it or not, but I prefer a collaborative environment, because I think that better serves the story. When everybody wants the same goal, I think that better serves the story. I've had some wonderful directors. I've had some not so wonderful directors. But again, the preference is to be with somebody who's going to be collaborative in the work. And I think you mentioned something a moment ago about, I guess it's just serving the story is basically what I'm trying to say. Just as a director, as a producer, as an actor, if the effort is to serve the story and to tell the story, then we're all doing our job. But if everybody wants to put their own personal mark on it,
Yeah.
that I think takes away from the entire experience. And so my goal as an actor, and when I'm in a production, is to serve, tell the story, support my fellow cast members, and to respect the director's vision. What is it? What is it that you're trying to get to? If you can get to that, and I can help you get there, what do I have to do to get you there? And let's do it.
One question that I have, and I know we're getting to the 1 hour mark, and I want to be respectful for people's time. There was one director I work with, and who basically says, "Listen, I'm going to give you a direction. Trust me, just trust me, and just to see if it works." And nobody understood why we were doing this. And maybe may have been an exercise or something like that.
Mhm.
And as listening to the two of you talk about the collaborative effort, you want to have the director and the actor sort of work together to create a story that's living on the stage, and the actors know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and everything works because everyone understands what's going on. But every now and then you get a director who, I don't know, they have an idea in their heads and they're like, let's just try it and let's see if it works. And I just want you don't understand why I'm asking you to do it, but just do it.
Mhm.
Does that work or does that not work? I mean, what do you
Well,
think?
you've seen me do that. I did that with Foreman in Paris.
Yeah.
But I will say first, I can think of a director, and he's not in the Bay Area anymore, and I am so grateful he's not. Because I saw a production of his, and he made his whole cast do this crap. I saw two different productions. One I saw, and I stopped him afterwards. And I said, I'm just wondering, there's this moment where there was this light bulb, there was a bare light bulb hanging off of the middle of the stage. And every now and then it would get brighter and it would go down. I couldn't see any rhyme or reason to that, but sometimes it seemed significant. And I said, was that supposed to be like that? And my question really wasn't, was it supposed to be something? It was, I was kind of confused whether you were doing that intentionally or not. And his answer was, yeah. Like gleeful. He was gleeful. And I'm like, I'm telling you I was confused about your play and you're happy? Fuck you. But you saw probably the worst example of that in Foreman in Paris was the party scene where we had no set. I had to create a party in the middle of this play where there was no room to bring in and get rid of a party set. So I decided I was going to do it based on a butler with a little rolling cart, and he's serving everybody, and that was going to make my party. Put party glasses in everybody's hands, mix them around the stage. I kept pushing them here and there and left and right. We had 3 rehearsals where we worked on that, and it was the 3rd rehearsal where the light bulb started going off and the actors started going, oh, and started making their own choices because they fully understood what I was going for. And for the most part, I was like, unless it got in the way of something, I was like, y'all, go ahead, do you.
Yeah.
But what I started with, they were confused as hell. Wait, before you say that line, I need you to get to the other side of the stage. Do it sometime in this window. You see if you can feel it out. Go back. Let's do that. And for that one rehearsal, I just kept pushing them to do it my way. Mm-hmm. And it eventually worked, but I knew I purposely had set up in the rehearsal process that I was going to give them a couple of times where I was going to push. And then I was hoping by the 2nd time, 3rd time, I'd start to see them understand. Otherwise, I was going to have to try and do something else.
No, I appreciate it. And just before I, get your answer, Michael, because, in my mind, I was going to have everyone sit on a couch, but that would have been horrible because, it's nothing worse than having an audience watching a bunch of cast members
sitting on stage talking for 10 minutes.
See, that's why you're the director. And but there was one production I was involved in, and the director had the actors act like amoebas and then do the scene. Like the amoeba part of it was sort of the transition from one scene to the next. None of the actors understood why they were doing it and what context it had to the play. And the director was like, listen, I don't care, just do it anyway, it's going to work. And one actor quit. So Michael, one question, I mean, have you had a director just say, listen, just do it, just trust me, and no collaboration, just whatever?
I'm sure that that's been suggested in a rehearsal. I don't know that it was like a permanent decision, like for a production that I can recall that happening. But I've certainly had directors say, okay, let's just try it. We're gonna try it this way. Just trust me on this. Just try it this way.
But
And which I don't have a problem with that at all. I make a point. Well, actually, it's not even conscious. I just go into a show knowing that I don't know everything that there is to know about this play, and that there's going to be suggestions and ideas and circumstances that come up that are going to be new to me. And so, trying something differently is not something that I would like push back against, unless it feels completely and totally wrong. And I remember fighting for a motion, a character move in a play one time that's not in the script at all, and it didn't detract from the scene as I saw it. And the director was like, "Why did you do that? You can't do that. It doesn't say anything anywhere in here that you do that." And I was like, "Well, it also doesn't say that it doesn't." And I explained my position, and we went back and forth for a minute, because I think another part of it is that if you are really committed to the character that you're playing, then you know some things about your character's personality and their how they move in the world. Mm-hmm. And we went back and forth with it, and eventually that director said, "You know what? You're right. Keep that." And that's the kind of collaboration, not necessarily because he came around to my way of thinking, but that he considered it, and that we were able to have a discussion about it, and that, right or wrong, that's the way we went. I've had experiences where I thought I should be doing something that was totally wrong, and we didn't do that. So I'm on both sides. I can take it as well as I can give it.
Yeah, I think it's important for an actor to feel that they have the freedom to say, "Hey, listen, can I try this? Can I try that?" Without, fear of a director snapping at them or whatever. Because, once you've learned the script and once you have a hold of the character, then, you can sort of see things that maybe the director or even the writer, doesn't necessarily see. Right. So I think an actor should always have the freedom to say, "Hey, listen, I don't know. Can you explain why we're doing this?" Or, "I have an idea. I want to," there has to be that open line of communication.
Yeah.
All right.
It doesn't always exist, but it is. I would prefer that, given the
time. Yeah, exactly. One last question before we close things up. Where do you see yourself in the future? I don't know, 5, 10 years from now?
Oh boy, that's an interesting question. Working, my whole
yay,
my whole my whole goal when I got into this was just to do it. It wasn't like to reach like this level of fame and be the marquee name at the theater. That was never my goal. My goal was just to do it. I enjoyed doing it so much that that's what I want to continue to do. And whatever medium, I love the stage. I had to grow to love it because I was scared to death of it when I started. So I love the stage. I've loved the film and TV work that I've done. I love the voiceover work. And so I'm just trying to, I'm going to do it for as long as I can. If I can do a Cicely Tyson and at 96,
hey,
people are still appreciating what I do, and then I die peacefully, I won. So that's
you got your voiceover set up there?
Yeah, I got my pop filters right here, and I can set up here. So I got a little something set up.
Yeah, you got your condenser mic and all that stuff.
Still not what I want. I'm working.
You mentioned film. I mean, what film stuff have you done? Because we'd love to link, folks to some of the stuff that you've done if it's online.
Oh man,
are you getting involved in this blind spotting thing?
No, not yet. But I'm hoping that that's going to come. Let's see. I got to look at my resume now. What did I do? I just did a film last year that's going to be coming out in April called Freebird, and that was fun. And I had a chance to get a little scene in San Andreas with The Rock, the earthquake movie a few years ago. And so that was fun. And did a movie called Chasing Rodriguez, where I played like a former action hero who's helping his kid solve this crime, who's happening to catch, he's a young filmmaker and he's trying to make a movie. And in the course of making his movie, he films a crime in progress. And so he tries to solve it, and I helped him try to solve his crime. So that was fun. So a bunch of stuff, man. I've done a few.
The earthquake movie. What did you do in that? Because we accidentally saw it a year ago, New Year.
Dodging falling debris and running away from and moving.
We took a bike ride. I think it was New Year's last year. We took a bike ride over the Richmond Bridge. No, it wouldn't have been there because the bridge wasn't open yet. We did it one time last year. Went over the Richmond Bridge. We get over to the other side. We go to this little taqueria, Guatemalan taqueria.
Mhm.
Nobody's speaking English. There's lots of people who don't speak English. And we get our little stuff and we sit down, and on the TV, I didn't even know the movie existed. But there it was, them riding around and people, ah!
Yeah. Yeah. It was fun, man. It was some of the most fun that I've ever had doing this, because it was just, you're playing, like you're in an earthquake.
Right.
And the effects, man, with like the cars on hydraulics, and the cars are actually like jumping up and down. And okay, now the ground is moving right here, so you got to move with the ground. And we had to go huddle up under this corner, and then they dropped like rocks and stuff down on it. It was crazy.
Wow.
Wow. That's a great way to earn a paycheck. That's fantastic. All right. Well, Michael, thank you so much. And let's get into shout outs, birthdays.
I feel bad about this. It's my brother's birthday. I didn't even realize.
Happy birthday,
James,
brother.
Happy birthday. And it'll be great for me to let him know. He sits around. He's retired, younger than me, but he's retired already. And he sits around watching Fox News way too much. But anyway, he might actually listen to this. Happy birthday, James. Robert Henry Johnson's birthday is today.
That's right. R.H.
Yeah. We should probably try and get Robert on at some point, but boy, that'll be an adventure. PJ Phillips is somebody I met when I was at the Willows, back when Concord used to have a theater called the Willows.
That's right.
And she was just in the chorus, and now she's got a singing career going like crazy.
Yeah.
Pamela Ellen, who was Pamela Rosen back in the day, is actually a Oakland Public Theater alum. She got to do one of our shows with us. And this one is actually for last week. I missed it last week. Tony Alderondo. Amazing, wonderful performer. He does a lot of spoken word stuff these days. Becky Hirschfield is somebody who I don't actually know through theater. We met through modeling, but one of the first things she said to me was, "Oh, you do theater too." Her birthday's this week. Kevin Hammond directed me in Hamlet that I did with the Arabian Shakespeare, who is now the Perspective Theater Company. Miki Hirabayashi Belon is somebody who's really important in the theater world, a producer. She helped us get a show up down at San Jose Stage, Jeannie Baroga's Buffaloed.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Yeah. Great show.
Yeah, thanks. That was wonderful. Stephen Ortiz, somebody I went to college with. I cannot work with Stephen too much. I love working with him. Laura Derry is an improviser. And she and I have been working together for many years at Nueva, the private school that I teach at in the spring. She's been part of the theater cadre that comes in every spring, and she stepped away. She moved farther north now. She's farther up in Sonoma, and she's not going to do any of that anymore. So still, it's her birthday this week. A couple more. Jessica Powell, who was King Lear in SF Shake's King Lear last summer. And Jessica's somebody I know because her husband, Jack, I got to do a show with. And then I found out his wife was this incredible woman. And I was like, wow, what a power team they are. And finally, Sean O'Neill. Sean O'Neill gets a special shout out. He is, I think, currently the principal or vice principal at a school out near Sacramento. I think he's now in West Sac. Teaching theater, now he started out teaching theater. Now he's like either principal or vice principal. But he gets a special shout out because he was the first white boy in the African American Shakespeare Company. And we loved Sean. We would get Sean and stuff, and Sean was willing to do anything. And he was this gorgeous, he was one of them pretty young men. But we would make him do all kinds of goofy shit. Like, it's going to be the black guy that's going to be the romantic lead in this. You're going to be the other guy. You're going to be the guy that doesn't get the girl. Or you're going to be the landlord. That's who you're going to be.
At least he's not lynching nobody. That it for you?
Yep, that's mine.
Okay, I know you saved Rondrell McCormick for me. So his birthday will be tomorrow. And that was nice. It was a nice little, you gave a little shout out to him on the A, and he responded, and he's doing some great things in LA. So we say happy birthday to him. His birthday's tomorrow.
And directing at San Diego.
Wow.
He's got some kind of directing thing. I think it was just a development piece, but whatever it was, he got his foot in that door.
Yeah. Also Wednesday, Bridget Dutta Portman. She is a absolutely fantastic writer. I still remember her little one-act piece, Mr. the Bear, which was at the oh shucks, what is that? The Playwright Center for San Francisco. But in any case, and she's done a bunch of stuff just all over the Bay Area, and she's just amazing. And so her birthday is Wednesday. Did I have one more? The only one more thing that's on Saturday, a week from now, is another Ellington alum. That's Nicole Prescott, and she's doing some great work. She's actually in film in LA, and so I want to say happy birthday to Nicole Prescott. And that's it. That's a really short list I have. Any shows you want to advertise?
And yeah, if you got any, Michael, feel free to jump in. But I have one from last week's birthdays. Come on, where is it? And this was just done last week, but it's the beginning of a thing. It's through Maskers, William Shakespeare's Tragical History of Frankenstein, and it's Alan Coyne is in it.
Right on. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
So they are doing, I guess, chapters. I was trying to read through what it says. They're doing a, what does it say? Best? I'm not sure. It sounds like they're doing a series of this, so they're breaking it up. And so last week is when it started, or not last week, yesterday was when it started. So I'm going to throw the link in the chat so you can get it, Reg.
Yeah, also text it to me because a lot of times when I close out this thing, I lose the chats. But yeah, yeah, we definitely want to advertise that. I wish I had some other shows. Folks, if you're watching, please let us know what shows you want to advertise because a lot of times I'm just jumping on Instagram and Facebook and just seeing what shows are out there. But the only thing that I'm working on, Dragon Eggs, they're doing their next series of one acts, and I will be moderating, and I think I'm in one of their shows that Kimberly Ridgway has written. Kimberly Ridgway, she's been on a tear. She's doing so many stuff. And matter of fact, maybe I can online. I'm saying if I could do it real quick because she emailed us. And
did she have something?
Yeah, she basically was pushing a lot of. Hold on for a second. I'm sure I can do a.
Michael, are you doing the next Playground?
I haven't been asked yet. So.
They might just be casting, and I'm still waiting to hear if I'm directing. So I'm not going to put it out there until I know what I'm doing.
I agree. That's how I did now.
Okay, I've got the list right here. So this is what Kimberly Ridgway is working on, and I really want to keep on pushing her because she's just an amazing actress, director, writer. She's just all over the place. So Fantasy Theater Factory.
Oh, her solo piece.
Yes, Factory Theater Factory. From February the 19th to March the 18th is doing The Stop. That is a play written by Kimberly Ridgway. The 3 pieces that I wrote are being featured in upcoming virtual performances. All of these are free. Donations accepted, of course. So that's that. And she has a YouTube link. So I'll push that. Also, this is Soulmate. So that's the one that I'm in. Written by her, directed by Sean J. West, a friend of ours. He's been on the Dragon Productions, and I'll have a link. That'll be February the 21st. March the 21st will be The Contract, also written by Kimberly Ridgway, directed by Brishana Crosby. And that'll be the 3rd installation of Dragon Productions. They do it once a month. So Playground, they do their thing, and Dragon Productions, they're doing their thing as well. So it's fantastic. It's amazing. I was talking to a friend of mine who is not involved in theater. It's like, wow, you must, it's supposed to be hard, because you're not on stage. I'm like, wow, I can't tell you how much work I'm getting just via Zoom.
Right.
So it's wonderful that theater is still active, even with the fact that we can't get on stage. So that's fantastic. And Michael, are you working on anything soon?
Yeah, start rehearsals. I think I mentioned earlier for The Bluest Eye with the Aurora Theater, and we start rehearsals next week, about 2 weeks from now.
Directed by Dawn? Is it directed by Dawn?
Directed by Dawn Monique Williams.
Right on.
Sam Jackson, Kathleen Ridley, Janae Simon, and Milan Williams. Got a great cast, man. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm dying to. I'm trying to get Janae Simon on. She was
in the last Playground. Holy cow!
She's an amazing talent. I acted with her.
I've been waiting to work with her, man, since I saw her do a show at Theater First.
Yeah.
And, yes.
And I've been dying.
I'm like, I hope I get to work with her at some point. And so
That's what I was like, man. It was because it was Playground and it's all on Zoom, and I have her number. I just went into chat. I'm like, Janae, I want to work with you.
Yeah, and I've been trying to get her on the Yay, but she's shy. I mean, she's magnificent on stage, but I guess she doesn't want to reveal a lot of herself. But I acted with her. We did a Civil War Christmas. She was Elizabeth
Right.
Kemp.
I think that's the first time I saw her.
Yeah. All righty. Well, it's a wonderful afternoon, so I want to, let you guys go. Thank you so much. Michael, did you enjoy yourself?
I did, man. Thank you guys for having me. And a pleasure to spend the afternoon with you guys. It's almost like having company. So thank you.
There you go.
The last time I saw Michael, the last time I saw Michael in life, I was delivering a prop to him, and he came out his door with his arms up, and I'm like, Michael,
Clearly, I've been home alone too long. So
I missed that. I missed giving someone a hug and just the physical interaction.
Yeah.
I'm saving it.
Yeah. I mean, we were growing up that way. But in any case, no, this is a fantastic Yay episode, and it's really cool. And for those who are listening, so February, the month of February, will be dedicated to love and to couples who have met via theater. And so that will be our, I don't even know what we would call the episodes or the sessions, the love sessions. Love at the Yay.
Love in the age of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So next week.
And I also want to throw in since it's Black History Month, I do want to throw in some sort of acknowledgement of that. So I will work on that. I will just make sure we get a little blurb about that.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll push, any shows. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of Black History related shows involved. And so we want to focus on that as well. So next week, we're going to have a Philippine couple, Chuck Laxon and Julie Corbara. They have been involved in theater for such a long time, and they met, fell in love, and I consider them a super couple. They're so talented, and we're glad to have them next week. So that's what's happening. You guys are watching this via YouTube. Please like and subscribe and let us know what you like or don't like about the Yay. And give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let us know what you like or don't like. For those who are listening traditionally on the podcast, you can listen to the Yay on all podcast apps, that purple podcast app on your iPhone or iPad, or even on iTunes. And we're also on Spotify. If you are an Android user, you can use the SoundCloud app, or just go on soundcloud.com and you'll find us. The Yay was created by theater people for theater people. If you have a show you want to advertise, or if you just want to advertise yourself, let us know. Hit us up. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm at Reg Space Clay.
And I'm at Who's Your Hoosier.
Michael, do you have any social media stuff that people can reach you at?
Yeah, Michael J. Asberry on Facebook and Michael J. Asberry altogether on Instagram.
Right on. And that is, if you're looking for a great actor with that magnificent voice, you can't go wrong with Michael Asberry. Thank you so much. And as Norman and I always say, we gotta find
a better sign off.
And we are out.